So when you're manipulating photos, there's often four main things that you would need to do. Over here in Apple Photo, we can do something very similar. So I've got the photo, I've just double clicked on it. So if I click here, double click on it, and there's my photo of the Grand Canyon. And up at the top right, I can click edit. There is this little auto adjustment, auto enhance if you wanted to use that as well, but we're just going to click on edit and then we get all of our controls. The first thing we have is light. And so if we adjust this, we can control it's somewhat like the contrast. So if we raise it, it increases our bright values. If we lower it, it increases our dark values. And there's a little checkbox, we can turn that on and off. We have our color, make it more saturated, less saturated. We can turn that off as well. Black and white, so that's just the saturation as far as decreasing it to black and white. We can actually go through different brightness values and control how those brightness values are mapped to a black and white image. So we'll turn that off. And then we get to our functions where we have a little bit more control. There is retouch and red eye, and we're going to skip those. There's white balance, we're going to skip that for now. So if I scroll on down, they do have levels and curves. If I open up curves here, I could do auto and see what it does. Maybe that's a little bit better. There's off, on, off, on. I like the idea of increasing the contrast down here so you can see more detail. So if I just added a point in the center here and drag that down, I can essentially get what I'm looking for, but just a little adjustment there. In addition to curves, they have levels. This levels gives you a few different points of adjustment, well, 5 points of adjustment. If I wanted to expand those dark values kind of here, I might even use that second point instead of the center point, drag this over a little bit, and I can start to refine and find my dark values. So these lines tell you where it starts and where it adjusts to. So that's all good. We can play with levels and curves. You've seen that used in the other programs. It's actually a pretty decent version of levels and curves. So we know levels and curves works well in here. It's got a pretty good version. We're going to skip definition and go to selective color. So selective color is where we have hue, saturation, luminance, and range. So saturation is going to increase those colors or decrease the amount. Hue is going to spin it just a little bit. It's going to swing us from the pink to kind of the yellow. Do that. Luminance is going to control kind of the brightness values, and it's actually got a pretty nice subtle adjustment in here. And we have the range, and that's going to determine what parts get selected in here. Now we can selectively do colors, which is kind of novel. So if I click on the greens, and that's going to try to find the greens in the image, I can increase the saturation on those greens and maybe make the trees, quite green. Same thing, I could go with my blues. It's probably going to fall somewhere between these two on the blue. That's a lot of saturation on the blue. Same thing, I could maybe add some more red to the mountains or something. So if I clicked on red, I go in here, increase the saturation, I can make that red pop off the mountains. So I've reset all the adjustments that we've done here. And the next thing we can look at under that edit is filters. So under filters, there's a variety of presets we could use to quickly adjust our image. That actually kind of looks neat. Vivid, we'll just go with the original. And then you have crop. So with crop, we have quite a variety of functions here. By default, it's set to freeform, but we wanted to make something like a photo that we're going to print. We could go 4:3. You can choose either horizontal or vertical. If we're working on a video thumbnail, like what we've been kind of using as our example, I could do 16:9. One of the neat things is that it will actually flip it to 9 by 16. So if we were doing a YouTube one, we would do 16 by 9. If we were doing like TikTok or something, we could do 9 by 16. You can maneuver this image around inside this frame. That actually looks pretty nice there if it was a 9 by 16. We'll go back here and we'll do 16 by 9. Then once I have that aspect ratio kind of in here, I can then kind of move this picture around to fit where I would like it to go. I can also drag this lower if I want to select or crop something smaller. But let's go back here to this crop. We have the 16 by 9 here. We have a nice horizontal image. Now we can look at some of the other functions up here. So we could straighten it if we have a little bit of an angle, or if it was vertical. So if the image was a little bit crooked, we could use this straighten to kind of help straighten out that image. I'm just going to reset 16 by 9. Vertical scale or tilt, we can scale the bottom kind of up. So there is a vertical, which kind of pulls the image a little bit more towards the bottom of the screen. There's horizontal, which kind of stretches it. I wouldn't particularly use either one of those, but we'll go with that. You have the flip button, so if you wanted to reverse the image or kind of flip the image, quick little button there to do that. So we'll go with this. We're going to do 16 by 9. Let's say we want tree to tree. So I'm just going to do that, and then we want a little less sky. Maybe something like that. So I'll click done. That crops my image. We'll save this out by exporting one photo. When I go to there, it gives me the option of what format I want. We'll export it. So you can see it's still kind of big, 2.9 megabytes. It is the appropriate aspect ratio, 16 by 9, but the scale is a little bit big, going through this fashion. But there are great photo adjustments there in Apple Photo.